talked about it last week.
I like the
I'd like to go ahead and welcome each and every one of you to this afternoon's agenda meeting where we will review the action items that will be formally addressed next Tuesday evening, February 21st already, at 6 p.m. right here at City Hall. We'll call upon our city manager, Mr. Bill Burrow, to review those action items. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Your first item on your consent agenda would be Resolution R2323, a resolution revising the 2023 budget for appropriating funds for certain prior year expenditures, and our Finance Director, Karen Scott, will present.
Good afternoon. In Arkansas, municipal budgets expire at midnight on December 31st each year. Purchase orders that were issued against the budget also expire. Thus, items that were ordered in 2022 but were not received until 2023 must be charged against the 2023 budget. At the beginning of each year, we must make appropriations in the current budget, which will be 2023, for capital items and one-time projects that were not received or completed before December 31st of the prior year. In addition, certain budget adjustments are needed in 2022 due to known changes. When you get your BARF in the next couple days, there will be two exhibits attached to it. One will be reappropriations of funds to be carried over, as well as budget amendments. And the second one will be POs to carry over. That list is quite lengthy. We have a lot of items that we have not received this year that we will be carrying over those POs. Staff recommends that you reappropriate the 2022 appropriations that were not purchased or received by December 31st and make other necessary budget adjustments to the 2023 budget.
Very good. Any questions of Karen? Yeah, Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. Karen, do you have an approximate dollar amount, or will that just be in the packet?
So we're actually still making entries that
Okay.
impact expenses on the 2022 budget. We expect to have those done by tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
It'll be in the packet then.
yes.
All right, thank you.
There will be a couple of items, especially in utilities, that'll be several million, and that's
Okay.
from 2 or 3 years of carryovers, holding until we knew exact cost and what our funding was from the bond.
Okay.
So we're going to reallocate those and use those during some of the improvements that we have coming up.
Very good. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say happy birthday to Karen as well. Today's your birthday. Thank you.
And happy Valentine's.
I see Marcia Dobbs Smith, Director Smith, District 3 on the screen today, zooming in. So welcome.
Thank you.
I looked to the left and then I looked to my right and there you were. Very good. Okay, item number 2.
Mayor, I do want to say also for those that are new on the board, the reappropriations that Ms. Scott just mentioned, that's really some housekeeping that we do every year about this time as we start closing 2022 and seeing those POs that are still sitting out there. So it's more of a housekeeping item to bring those over into the 2023 budget so we can pay for those when they come and still reappropriate. Next, we have Resolution R2324, a resolution authorizing the filing and acceptance of a Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, or the RAISE grant, for the design and construction of certain trails and trail connectors. And our Assistant City Engineer, Mike Hill, will present.
Hello, Board. What we're looking at is almost have 3 parts to it. The first part is applying the grant towards the Southwest Trail, or our portion of the trail inside the city limits. The Southwest Trail is approximately 60 miles long. It's a multi-use bicycle and pedestrian connecting 2 historical sites at Little Rock National Historic Site and the Hot Springs National Park. So it actually runs from Little Rock all the way to Hot Springs. Our portion inside the city limits is the portion we're looking to fund with this grant. We're also looking to fund connectors from the Southwest Trail into our other trail systems, such as Northwoods and Greenway, to make a better trail system by connecting all that. And then the third part of it is for signage and connection, not just along the Southwest Trail, but along our existing trails. So some wayfinding signs and stuff, and directional signs. Trails typically have a social, environmental, and economic benefit. Economic benefits will accrue to residents, businesses, and government agencies through increased property value, sales, and economic growth. In this case, we're trying to do a little more with that. The trail design will include detailed directional signage that will be especially useful to inexperienced trail users. The trail is frequently used by unhoused people and people who are underserved by the community, providing an opportunity to conduct a non-traditional outreach to people who may have a need. The City of Hot Springs will build informational signage and kiosks to connect people to community resources such as the Giving Team, Jackson House, warming and cooling systems. The proposed route passes through some of our vulnerable populations, but they also have many helpful resources, giving a rare chance to combine our outdoor recreation with a support system for people when they need additional help. So it's a way to communicate to some people that maybe we don't always have a way to communicate with. Do we have any questions?
Yes. Dudley?
Thank you, Mayor. I heard you say part 1 is Southwest Trail, part
Yes.
3 is signage and connection. What did you share with us that is part 2?
Part 2 is the connectors. I'm sorry, I
Connectors,
might have said
okay.
that all together.
I think you did say it. I just missed it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, where does this start and end?
It would be, our portion starts at Guy Street, close to Spring and Guy, and it would follow pretty close to Spring Street. We're trying to stay as close to the Gulf of Creek that we can. And then it comes some old railroad abandoned right-of-way up Convention to Malvern, and then it would take a right to the National Park headquarters, and also we want to swing it around to connect to the beginning of the Greenway there at the transportation depot. And then the connectors, we're still working on some of the best connectors, like to get to the Northwoods. We're still looking at our options to work out the cost estimates for that.
Now, you said our part, so are there others involved in
Yes,
this?
it's a 60-mile portion. Actually, we'll be connecting to a sections, a couple-mile section that Garland County has already got some funds for. They received an EDA grant last year, and they'll be doing a section from Guy Street basically towards the bypass. So they'll be working on that possibly this year. So we will be connecting up with that portion and then continuing it into Hot Springs.
Thank you. So it's a joint project with.
Yes, it's a joint between
Yeah.
3 different counties.
Yes.
And the cities inside those counties.
Thank you very much.
The Southwest Trail originally is going to have Central High School connected all the way through Pulaski County, Saline County, Garland County, and our portion of the city of Hot Springs will connect to our national park. However, this RAISE grant is one that we weren't really sure we were eligible for, and then Conway was able to get a substantial grant. Was it
24.6 million.
24.6 million? So we wanted to go after some of that money.
Right.
We had some phone calls. Mike had some phone calls, and Lauren with one of the gentlemen that worked on it at Conway, and he was basically, "Hey, you guys are shooting too low. You need to raise that." So we're asking for this portion of the grant. We're requesting $5 million in the grant.
That was my question.
It's 100% no grant match. Go ahead, Mike.
Right. I just want to, 5 million is kind of a guess right now. We have a cost estimate for the Southwest grant of around 2.5 million. But for all the connectors, depending on how, it's going to be getting, it's a little tough to get to the Southwest Trail from here. So we're trying to figure that out right now. So we're still working on our cost estimates, but we're ballparking 5 million. The
Somewhere in there.
actual request, we might request 10 million. I don't know. It's right now, it's just, that's a ballpark number.
Probably going to come in around that 5 million
Yes.
mark. And one of the things we learned is Saline County's having some issues with theirs because they're not able to fall into that rural category, which is going to place them in an 80-20. However, in rural where we are, we would actually be eligible for the 100% grant
Great.
And in doing so, in this part of the area, there's not a lot of grants being submitted, so we feel optimistic, even though we don't have a lot of time. It's due February the 28th, so we're spinning some wheels trying to get that grant application in. I appreciate what Mike and Lauren and them are trying to do to get a good grant in, so.
I will say that we are competing with some others that have a head start on us. Pulaski County is putting in a raised grant for their portion of the Southwest Trail. They're asking for a lot more money. We consider trying to maybe partner with them and get in on their grant and reconsider, because since they are not rural, they would be required to come up with some money. So we thought, let's just keep it to ourselves and stay in that zero match fund.
Very good.
Very good. Director Trustee?
One other question, is this administered at the state level or the federal level? It looks like it's probably federal money.
It's
but-
federal money, yes. It's through the DOT, but we're applying straight with the federal. We're not going
Okay.
through any RDOT.
All right.
But
Thank
it is a DOT fund.
Okay.
That's federal.
Very good, thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R 2325, a resolution authorizing the replacement of the stormwater culvert at Velocity Park with construction personnel and equipment provided by Coakley Company, Inc. pursuant to the term contract approved in Resolution 9826 in a not-to-exceed amount of $90,000. Mike?
Yes, I believe most of you are familiar with the Velocity Park that we're building over there, the pump track. It's coming along. We still need to do the outside part, but the grass is starting to turn green on the actual pump track itself. So we're excited about that. The parking lot that will service Velocity Park and also serve for some overflow parking for Majestic and the skate park that could serve some additional areas. While we were preparing that to pave it, it was noticed that the culvert running underneath, probably on the north section of the parking lot, started to fail. We actually had a crack develop in the top where we could see down through the water. We walked the culvert and it's got multiple cracks in it. It's not safe to put parking on top of that or have traffic going across that, so we decided we needed to repair the culvert before going further. And we're looking to use stormwater funds to do that because it is a stormwater culvert. We're looking to use our contract with Coakley Company for personnel and equipment. We believe that this will expedite the work and enable the city to proceed with the additional, without the additional cost of time to develop a contract with a set of plans and an engineer and bid documents. Let's see, the parking will be on the south side, and it's approximately 100 foot in length. The head wall is part of the retaining wall that is also failing, so we'll be replacing part of the retaining wall that runs along along the creek also. Are there any questions?
Any further questions of Mike? Director Garcia?
How many bids were there for that?
Well, that's the purpose of bringing it. We have a term contract with Coakley, and rather than, hiring an engineer to design it, we kind of walked it out with Coakley, and he's agreed that he could do this at a time, at his contract prices, and then we expect the prices will actually be lower than our maximum there, because we're right there, and we can tell exactly how much time and what equipment he has on site to do the work. So
Okay.
it's basically time and materials cost.
And so you assign someone to oversee that?
Yes, I go by there
Every
quite
day,
often, and
yeah.
while they're working, I kind of want to see some of the stuff in this old culvert. I've been through it. It's kind of interesting. Old building techniques in there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Resolution R 2326, a resolution awarding a term contract to DNS Equipment LLC for sodium aluminate. And our Utilities Director, Monty Ledbetter, will present this item.
Good evening, board members. This is staff recommendation to award a term contract for sodium aluminate to DNS Enterprise Equipment LLC. This is for 4 12-month extensions upon mutual agreement. We use the sodium aluminate in our treatment plant at the Davison Wastewater Treatment Plant to help remove the phosphorus and stuff that's in the water. It's a process of the settlementation process, coagulation and settlementation process. 2 bids, we advertised this, 2 bids were received. DNS was the low bidder again. They were the one that supplied it for the last few years, several years. So upon proving this, we'll be asking for the 4 years, 12 months extensions upon mutual consent. And of course, that will be approved in the corresponding budget years. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Monty.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, I wanted to point out in the previous item and this item, we used the term contract. At one time, that terminology, we used annual supply contracts. So you don't hear much about annual supply since we've changed that terminology, and you'll start seeing these come to you as a term contract versus annual supply. Next, we have consider resolution R 2327, a resolution approving the purchase of a CAPS knuckle boom truck from River City Hydraulics, Inc., pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through SourceRail in the amount of $199,701.22. And Solid Waste Director Mike Mundell will discuss the item.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll probably be standing here for a little while. I have about 3 or 4 more right after this. So this purchase is a replacement vehicle purchase for the CAPS truck. The type of vehicle that it is used to drive throughout the city, picking up bulky items and other debris from residential homes and some of the commercial customers that request the service. The equipment will replace Unit 9273, which is 10 years old. The purchase price of the unit, it did come in below what was budgeted, the $200,000 that was approved in the 2023 solid waste budget.
Very good. Any questions of Mike?
Next, we have resolution R 2328, a resolution approving the purchase of a rear load collection truck from River City Hydraulics, Inc., pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through Sourcewell in the amount of $219,461. Mike?
This will be another routine replacement of one of our rear load collection vehicles. It is utilized to collect residential yard waste throughout the city. It will replace Unit 9272, which is 10 years old. And again, it came in under the $220,000 approved amount in the 2023 solid waste budget.
Any questions of Mike on this item?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
And it's kind of for the one before as well, but time frame on delivery. I know they're custom, so what are we looking at?
They're not, the chassis are readily available at this point, so we're looking at probably 120 days, maybe 180 days, but more like 120 days is what I've been told.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions? I got 2. Director Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to inquire about Sourcewell. I forgot what that is.
It's
Is that the state program or federal or?
It's a cooperative purchasing agreement that different entities participate in and put the bids out, and then these companies will submit their bid for the to be part of the contract.
Thank you.
Director Trustee?
Thank you. What about the units that are being replaced? Will they be sold?
What
they
we'll
be
do-
scrapped? What will they?
What we'll do first is look at them and if they're roadworthy and another department can use them within the city, then we would get them to that department so they could use them and continue to benefit from them. If not, then they would be classified as surplus, and then they would be auctioned off
Okay.
through the fleet department.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Next, we have resolution R 2329, a resolution approving the purchase of 75 front-load dumpsters and 15 roll-off containers from Waste Equip pursuant to a cooperative purchasing program through Sourcewell in the amount of $182,608.77. Mike?
So these containers are used for the storage of waste from commercial establishments as well as the storage of waste from large and small construction and demolition projects throughout the city. The purchase price of these containers is the $182,608.77. We did budget $100,000 in the front load side for the front load containers, and we budget $100,000 in the roll-off side for the roll-off containers. So they did come in under that $200,000 amount.
Any questions to Mike on this item? Thank you.
Next, Resolution R 2330, a resolution approving the purchase of a container delivery truck from River City Hydraulics, Inc. pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through Sourcewell in the amount of $139,773.79. Mike?
Okay, we just spoke about the dumpsters and the containers. This vehicle is used to deliver the front load dumpsters throughout the city to our customers. It's also used to relocate the dumpsters if our front load truck has a hard time getting to that location for service. So they relocate the dumpster for the service and then put it back where the customer has it. And also it's utilized in the maintenance and repair of our dumpsters. It holds the container up in the air and it's able to twist it around and turn it so the welding guy can get to it and fix the bottoms, etc. The purchase price for this container truck is $139,773.79, which is less than the budgeted amount of $145,000 that was approved in the 2023 solid waste budget.
Mike, what's the replacement vehicle on this one?
Oh, the replacement vehicle is unit number 9140. Sorry.
Director Garcia.
Since there are multiple items purchased from River City Hydraulics, they give you extra discounts for multiple purchases?
We don't receive an actual discount from River City Hydraulics, but we do receive a discount for the utilization of the Sourcewell contract.
Oh,
So it varies from anywhere from about $2,500 to $4,500 on each one.
Is that factored in, or is that after the fact you get a rebate?
No, it's factored in.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes,
Yes, Director.
thank you, Mayor. The current, excuse me, the current vehicle, is that one also 10 years old?
That one is 14 years old.
Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you.
Director Beard, our standard is typically 10 years or 100,000 miles for vehicle replacements. So you'll see most of these being at least 10 years or older.
Okay. Do they have 100,000 miles? Do they have 100,000 miles on them? Do you know?
I don't know if those do. In these type trucks, we typically look at hours versus miles on anything that's one of our diesel type large trucks.
The container delivery trucks do have quite a large amount of hours on them because they go out in the morning to move containers around for the front load operators. Plus, when they come back from that, then they're picking up containers, taking them out to projects or taking them out to new customers.
Next, Resolution R 2331, a resolution approving the purchase of a roll-off truck from River City Hydraulics, Inc. pursuant to the Cooperative Purchasing Program through Sourcewell. And again, Mike?
Okay. I guess I skipped that one. There we go. Okay, sorry. This vehicle is utilized for the collection of waste from residential and commercial accounts using open-top roll-off containers as well as compacting roll-off containers. It also utilizes that for construction and demolition sites throughout the city. This equipment will replace Unit 9336. Which is a 10-year-old vehicle. The vehicle came in above the budget amount of $220,000 at $238,153.61. The $18,153.61 that is pending will be found where we found it in the reappropriation of the funds from vehicle purchases from 2022.
Any questions of Mike on this item? Director Webb?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. For these new trucks that are in the process of being purchased, would it require any additional training for employees to drive, or would their licensure that they have now just carry over to these
Licensing
trucks?
would just carry over. Their
Okay.
CDL is a minimum of a B. All of these vehicles would comply with a B license. Plus, it's the same type of vehicle they're already utilizing.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Next is Resolution R 2332, a resolution approving a budget transfer from Utility Billing Services meter maintenance to the City of Hot Springs Planning Department, approving the purchase of a vehicle by the Planning Department and for other purposes, and Deputy City Manager Denny McFate will present this item.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows and members of the board. One of the main reasons this is coming before you is that Utility Billing Services is an enterprise fund, and the Planning Department is a general fund, and those funds cannot be mixed or transferred without specifically board approval. The UBS, Utility Billing Services meter maintenance, has a budget approved to purchase several new vehicles in 2023 budget. The Planning Department has 2 full-size trucks that were purchased in recent years and that are low miles, great condition, and are fairly new. The trucks are unit number 9636, which is a 2020 Dodge Ram Crew Cab, 1,500 four-wheel drive with 25,300 miles. The second one is vehicle 9745, which is a 2022 Dodge Ram truck, 2-wheel drive, 2-door with 8,073 miles. The Planning Department is looking to utilize compact trucks for its inspectors for better fuel economy, easier mobility, and therefore no longer has a need for full-size trucks. The Planning Department has offered to sell to UBS these vehicles, 9745 and 9636, and in turn use those proceeds to purchase 1 new additional compact truck. The current city book value for these 2 vehicles, 9636, is $20,496.80, and the other vehicle is $27,037 for a total combined purchase between the 2 departments of $47,533.80. Therefore, staff is requesting a budget transfer from UBS 2023 budget to the Planning Department's account in the amount of $47,533.80 to purchase these 2 vehicles from the Planning Department and move them over into UBS assets. And furthermore, by approving this resolution would allow planning to purchase 1 additional compact truck to replace one of the vehicles that they're selling to UBS.
Any questions on this item? Director Garcia?
How many years was these being depreciated over?
This is the depreciation value that we have on today's books. 5 years.
5 years. And they were going to plan to use it to purchase a vehicle. What was the remainder of the funds going into?
We'll be transferring 47.5 to planning. The 2 vehicles that they purchased this year are running about 26,000. So the remaining funds, the difference between that compact and what we're buying the 2 big ones for, will go back to the general fund balance.
But just in the general fund balance, not planning?
No, ma'am, it'll go back to the fund balance.
Okay.
You're only approving by this resolution for them to make 1 purchase for that compact.
Thank you.
It'll stay in there until we get to the year end, and
Right.
just become part of the general fund balance at the end of the year.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Resolution R 2333, a resolution amending Resolution Number 4691 pertaining to the investment policy for the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas. And our city attorney couldn't be with us today due to having a medical procedure earlier. So Karen Scott, our finance director, will present this item. Karen.
Yes. The City of Hot Springs utilized an ad hoc committee to draft the 2001 City of Hot Springs investment policy. The members of that committee included some people who worked at local banks and investment firms, as well as staff members, the city manager, deputy city manager, the finance director, and the city treasurer at that time. The 2001 policy was adopted by the board of directors and was resolution number 4691. The policy did not address the investment of proceeds from various bond issues. In fact, the code, it has been codified, and it specifically says this policy does not govern the investment of employee retirement or pension funds or proceeds of bond issues. The provisions of each ordinance authorizing the issue of bonds has served as the policy for investment. Since the adoption of the policy in 2001, the landscape of investing has changed such that bond proceeds should be included within the policy. The city now engages a municipal advisor to provide advice on the sale of bonds and investment of bond proceeds under a fiduciary duty to the city. In addition, the city no longer has a city treasurer per se. That role falls within the job description of the finance director. Furthermore, a standing committee is needed to provide oversight and with respect to all investments. After consultation with bond counsel, the financial advisor, the city attorney, the proposed resolution will update the policy where needed, as well as create a committee and define the duties thereof. In the packet, you will have the black-lined policy, the new policy, and minutes from the ad hoc committee. I would like to highlight a few of the changes. Again, there will be a specific reference to the fact that this policy will apply to the investment of bond proceeds. Also, it will specifically require the city manager to establish an investment committee, which will be the city manager, the deputy city manager, finance director, assistant finance director, and the city attorney is an ex officio member. Also, again, there is a whole section now included on the investment of proceeds from bond issues. All references to the city treasurer have been changed to say finance director, and the investment committee will meet monthly.
Any questions?
Staff recommends you adopt the resolution that approves the proposed amended policy.
Any questions of Karen?
I have one.
Director Trust.
Thank you. This committee will meet monthly. Will they report back to the board periodically?
Through the city manager.
Okay,
All reports will go to the city manager.
very good. Thank you.
Any additional
They will
questions?
also work to make recommendations for how funds are invested.
Director Garcia.
If there are other areas that needs to be cleaned up with language from the reference to when we had the city treasurer, and those need to be changed also. I don't know if this addresses that, but if there are others, because I have read that in some of the administrative policies, that we clean that up too.
Yes, we'll be working on that.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll start your new business for the evening. It's Resolution R2334, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 418 Reserve Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. And our Chief Building Official, Mike Scott, is going to present that item.
Thank you all. The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant single-family structure at 418 Reserve, Hot Springs, Garland County, Arkansas. Between 2011 and 2022, the structure has been inspected on multiple occasions, determined to pose numerous public health and safety risks. Not only is there an extensive structural damage to the exterior walls, roof, and porches, but also both the owner and the City of Hot Springs have been unable to prevent vagrants from entering the building and squatting in the structure. December of 2022, there was a fire in the fireplace. Fire department had to be called. In November of 2021, there were two structures on this lot. You guys condemned one of them, and we removed that one in November of 2021. So this is the second structure on that same parcel. We would have demolished it back then, but we're not allowed to tear down two houses in the same block without spending excessive money for abatement and stuff. So we usually just tear down one per block per year. So we're going after the second one. Since we've tore that one down, the owner's done absolutely nothing to the property. He lives in Tucson, Arizona, doesn't care about Hot Springs. And so we're asking to tear down this house.
Very good. Any questions of Mike? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have your first ordinance of the evening, Ordinance O2305, an ordinance waiving the requirement of competitive bidding for and approving the procurement of 3 replacement solid waste transfer trailers from Spectre Manufacturing, Inc. in the amount of $405,738. Mike?
So the, the solid waste department has 13 of these trailers that we're talking about. They're built by all built by Spectre Manufacturing Incorporated. And over the last several years, the department has purchased 85 cubic yard transfer trailers. The size was then the industry standard, and currently all of our solid waste department transfer trailers are that size. However, the industry has started to drift down in the size of the trailer for the standard. It's changed to 75 cubic yards. And this has created an issue for us for parts availability on these 85 cubic yard trailers. The department has been waiting for 2 ejection cylinders for over 9 months because they have to be built by the manufacturer. They don't stock them on the shelves at the repair facilities any longer. The department desires to purchase 75 cubic yard replacement transfer trailers from Spectre Manufacturing. The purchase would allow for continued standardization of vehicles and equipment in the solid waste department. The department staff have found that these trailers are well-built, and Spectre Manufacturing provides a very good service after the sale. The current equipment quote is for Spectre, SpecTech model AEC 389696, and those are 75 cubic yard trailers. These trailers are used to transport solid waste from the transfer station to the landfill, and this equipment will replace units 9270, 9271, and 9538. They are 10 years old.
Very good. Any questions to Mike on this item? Director Garcia?
Based on your description, I'm just wondering if this is more accurately a single source or not. Are there others?
There are a couple other manufacturers. In the past, when we bid these out, Spectre has always been the lowest bid. That's how they end up with 13 here. They did bid out as an 85 cubic yard trailer. Spectre came in as the lowest bidder. However, in those discussions, with the market going to 75 cubic yards versus 85 cubic yards, that's how this request came to you, but it wasn't bid out as a 75. It was bid out originally as an 85. That's why we're needing to waive to pick these 3 up. All of the future ones that we have, we'll continue to bid those out under, but now with the 75. 3 of the, I think you have 3 that are decommissioned actually, that these are replacing. I think 2 were in accidents. Is that correct?
2 were in accidents, and then the one is the one that's due the 10-year replacement.
Any further questions?
Yes, sir.
Director Trustee?
Those that you've been waiting on parts for 9 months, are any of those going to be retired, or are they current?
Those are 2 that will go.
Those 2 will go?
Yeah, what we did was we were able to scrounge together 2 different cylinders to put in the other trailers and get them going. And so when these cylinders come in, we'll have 2 spares to put on our shelf. So if any of the others, the other 10 that we have, if any cylinder needs are there, we'll be able to replace those.
Does Spectre manufacture those cylinders?
No, Spectre does not manufacture those cylinders. They farm that out to a third party.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You will see, though, from probably every year having 1 or 2 of these trailers until we get all 10 of those replaced, probably over the next 5 years.
Sure.
Any additional questions? Director Holliday?
So going from 85 to 75 is quite a bit. How does this impact our ability to actually move material?
It will have a slight impact on 2 days a week, but the other 5 days a week that we're running, we're able to, I'm sorry, the other 4 days a week that we're running, we're able to keep up with that through those slower days.
Okay.
Really, when you look at, I mean, we can't haul more than 80,000 pounds. And some of these 85 cubic trailers, I mean, they've got to really watch the payload that's going into those. I've seen some weigh 100,000 pounds that have to come up and take some of it off. So 75 cubic yards is still going to allow us to reach that 80,000 benchmark either way.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any Director Trustee?
Just one last question. Is this budgeted for this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did these come in below or above?
They came in slightly below, maybe $100 or so.
We'll take it, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike, what was it? Hey, Mike, did they give you a time frame on those? I know you're hurting for those now.
Yeah, again, they indicated it would be about 120 days for the turnaround on those.
All right, next you have ordinance O-2306, an ordinance approving a C4 zoning on approximately .35 acres, generally located at 1136 Airport Road, amending the future land use plan map to designate the area linear commercial corridor and for other purposes. And our Planning and Development Director, Ms. Selman, will present.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The applicant on this project is Mr. Adnan El Dervish, representing property owner Airport Road Express LLC. The request is for C4 commercial, regional commercial open display district zoning on a piece of ground that is currently split zoned with C4 zoning on approximately 80% already, and low density residential R3 on the rear portion of the land, which has no frontage on Airport Road. The property is located in Board of Directors District Number 3. The residentially zoned portion of the property, this is the .36, that is under rezone consideration, is steeply sloped. It has an approximate elevation change of approximately 43 feet from front to the back of the property. It has a little bit of frontage on Weston Road. The zone change request is required to meet certain standards. Among those standards are compatibility with surrounding uses and zoning. The surrounding zoning on the north is R3, low density residential. The west is C4 and RL. East is C4 and R3, and south is C4, as is being requested on this piece, this back piece. The uses that are there around it are condominium complex, commercial bank, commercial strip center, and additional condominium complex. The zone change request demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning. All of the properties fronting Airport Road, from the Martin Luther King Jr. Expressway to the Highway 70 West Lake Hamilton Bridge, are Zone C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District. And again, develops in the vicinity include bank, shopping center, pharmacy, auto maintenance center, restaurant, and pest control. The Planning Commission duly advertised, considered the record, and called for testimony at their January 12th, 2023 meeting. 3 people spoke against the request, citing traffic concerns along Arkansas Highway 70, Airport Road. Planning Commission, by their 9-0 vote, accepted the staff report findings and recommended that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map from R3 to C4 and amending the future land use plan map from residential medium high to linear commercial corridor for the subject 0.36 acres on the split zone land at 1136 Airport Road, because the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning and is consistent with the objectives of the zoning code. And one thing that I would like to mention is this is a property that is already primarily C4 commercial. And the proposed development on the site pretty much fits on that C4 portion. What this change would do to the steeply sloped portion in the back is to allow the zoning to become all the same on it. Also, one thing important to note, particularly since we had 3 people testify against it at Planning Commission because of traffic, is that a traffic study will be required at the time of building permit. Now, our code does not allow us to condition zoning, but wanted to assure you that that additional step will be taken prior to a building permit being issued.
Any questions of Ms. Selman?
Sorry.
Director Trustee?
Thank you. Did you say what the proposed development is? Did I miss that?
It is likely to be a commercial, convenience store.
Convenience. Thank you.
Director
Will
Garcia?
the minutes of the planning commission meeting that addressed this be included in our packet?
We can put them in there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Director
They'll be
Webb?
draft, they will not be approved, but
Okay.
we can put them in.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Those minutes, would they include the, I guess, the reasoning for the opposition besides traffic, like specifics?
No,
Would that be included in the
no,
packet?
no, it won't.
Would the planning proposal be included in the packet, like architectural designs?
Architectural
cetera?
designs are not required and are not available at this time. They will be reviewed at the time of building permit application.
The, is this a property from, on the northeast corner of Airport Road and Weston?
Yes.
Between the curb, between
I think
Airport
it's
Road
the
and the
north-
condominiums?
West corner.
Well, the northwest corner would have that little pharmacy and that little strip mall.
Do we have a map?
The fast loop is close by.
It, the road isn't heading north or south, so nobody ever knows what corner we're talking about, but
Well, if
it
you turn
is,
on Weston Road, it's in the right elbow of it.
if you
230 Lance.
If you're heading out of town on Airport Road and you turn on Weston Road, you will pass this before you turn. And it is up on the screen.
It's on our screen.
Thank you. That's good.
Yeah, that's the,
Which one
that's
is it?
northeast.
It's just 83,568.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So it's short of the condominiums
It
on
is.
Weston?
Yes.
And the access to that property is going to be from where?
That has not been determined at this time. That'll be looked at the time of building permit and after the traffic study would be completed.
You know, the State Highway Department was looking at different configurations to move traffic off of Weston because of the challenges there of turning left. And they actually had a configuration where you would turn right, excuse me, turn right, and just before the bridge have some kind of lane changes that would cause you to do a U-turn back east. And so it looks like we're going to be adding a fair amount of ingress and egress, you know, on Airport Road right there, to and from. So that's going to be tough. Is there going to be a gas station as well?
I don't know that, but that is kind of typical at this time with a convenience store.
Mayor, one of the reasons we're asking for that traffic study is that we're hoping that, you know, currently we're told that Western Road and Airport Road does not meet the warrants for a traffic signal. We're hoping with the updated traffic study for whatever type business goes onto this lot, that it'll bring that up and meet the warrants, and we'll be able to get a traffic signal at that intersection.
Well,
Whether
right
we do or
now,
not, I don't
Those who
know.
are trying to go into town, turning left off of Weston, it's a very, very difficult turn. And given the traffic coming off the bypass and in the speed at which cars are moving both directions, so. All right. Any further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, that'll conclude the items for your agenda for your February 21st meeting. I will ask the board to stay for just a minute. I need to get some direction on unfunded capital.
Very good. Thank you all.
Yeah.